Hey, Mountainside. Thank you once again for tuning in for some Thursday thoughts of encouragement. Hope this is a good pick me up for you during the last portion of the week. We thank you all. We miss you. We hope you guys are doing okay. If there's anything that we can pray for you about, please put it in the comments below. We'd love to lift up you and anybody that you need in prayer the rest of the week. We thank you once again for tuning in. I'm going to turn it over to Wes Heron, one of our shepherds, for his thoughts, and hopefully you guys can feel encouraged during this time. You guys take care, and God bless.
Hello, Mountainside. My name is Wes Heron. I'm one of the elders here at this congregation. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you on whatever medium you happen to be watching this on, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or whatever else it is that's out there. Thank you for giving me your attention. One thing I want to get out of the way right off the bat, I am not as polished a public speaker as Tom or Rick, so you'll see me looking down at my notes. You'll understand what's happening, so thank you for that. You know, I got to thinking about the times we live in, and there is no other way to put this in my mind. We live in very weird times. In these weird times, I was reflecting on Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 and 25. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. I do not see our situation as giving up meeting together, because the term giving up implies a voluntary decision to not get together. This is far from our situation. We are complying with an order from the government that is intended to save lives. Furthermore, we are instructed as Christians to submit to the governing authorities in such things. Romans chapter 13 addresses this, and I'll paraphrase it here. Everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that by which God has established. Give everyone what you owe him. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If you owe revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. Or if honor, then honor. And for context, remember that this passage in Romans was written at a time when they did not have the opportunity to elect their leaders as we do today. Nobody would argue that we live in a better time now because of the opportunities that we have. We are incredibly blessed as a people to live in this time and have the freedoms that we have in this country. But because of the freedoms that we have, we are often very quick to disagree vociferously with our elected leaders. And in fact, we treat them sometimes with massive disrespect because we do not agree with their decisions. This is not right. And furthermore, it's not biblical. We owe our leaders respect and honor for the lawful decisions that they must make. And we as Christians are expected to model good behavior when it comes to accepting and submitting to these kinds of lawful orders from our governing authorities. Now, I don't want anybody to hear or misunderstand what I'm saying. There is a time for us to disobey orders from our government. We are expected as Christians to not follow commands when they are clearly sinful. We have many, many models in the Bible to follow on this, from Daniel ignoring Darius's decree to the apostles ignoring the Sanhedrin's command to stop teaching in Jesus' name. But that's not what we're going through here. We are not being commanded by our government to not worship our God. So I want to take this time, I'm going to switch the focus, and I'm going to digress a little bit here. I've earned a nickname from one of my good friends. He calls me Mr. Brightside or something like that. And I really have become a half glass full kind of guy. My personality is such now that I always try to look on the positive side of whatever situation I'm in, and I look for the blessings that are there instead of focusing on whatever it is that I feel like I'm missing out on. Let me also be the first to say I don't always succeed in this. Sometimes I do focus too much on whatever it is I think I'm missing, or I focus too much on whatever it is that I'm disappointed or depressed about. But when I make a conscious effort to find the good in whatever situation I'm in, I've found that it helps me put the spotlight more on what God has blessed me with in whatever situation I find myself in. So, as a group in these weird times, instead of us focusing on the idea that we can't meet together in large groups at the building, whatever building that may be, I've been taking great comfort in Jesus' words in Matthew chapter 18. For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them. Jesus says in John chapter 4, verses 23 and 24, that a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. So what does it mean to worship in spirit and in truth? As the old joke goes, well, now that's a deep subject, and I'm sure nobody wants to hear my thoughts on that particular thing right now, especially a terrible joke like well and deep. But my overarching thought with this is to worship in spirit and in truth means to truly recognize that God is all-powerful, that He is our God, and that He is in control of our lives. Worship is not just singing or gathering together in church. These are important aspects of worship, definitely, but they are by no means all of our worship. True worship is recognizing who God is and letting God rule our lives. With our online service, I think we are gathering in spirit and in truth. We are gathering with our families in Christ, even if we're separated by distance and time, and maybe we're alone in our living rooms or in our home offices watching this, or wherever it is that we have a chance to worship. But we recognize through this act that God is who He says He is, and we worship Him for being our loving and caring God. Now, I do look forward to the day that we can all gather again in person, but in the meantime, I'm grateful for this technology that we have and that we have this kind of opportunity to worship our God. My prayer is that during these weird times, that we all stay strong in our faith, that we stay strong in the Lord, and that we continue to worship Him in spirit and in truth until we can all meet again in person.